listen to this. Someone actually wrote, if you don't end up hissing after you read this book, then read it again. Hissing? Like a disgruntled radiator? Or, well, you know.
Hissing, an unusual physiological response to literature. Are you quite sure that's what the commentary suggested?
As sure as I am that my toaster hates me. Hissing? Maybe it's contagious? Should we warn the listeners? Welcome to Heartbook Radio, folks. Hope you've had your shots. Today we're diving headfirst, possibly foolishly, into... what is it called again? It seems to have an identity crisis.
The book is Split or Swallow by Lindsay Straube, though reports indicate it is being republished as Kiss of the Basilisk.
Kiss of the Basilisk sounds slightly more hygienic than Split or Swallow, which frankly sounds like a terrible party game involving olives. So, lay the groundwork before I get lost in the reptile house. What's the alleged story here according to the... Whispers?
Right. The premise described involves a society where humans and basilisks coexist. A young human woman, Temperance, or Tem, is required, along with others, to undergo sexual training administered by basilisks.
Sexual training by basilisks. Is this continuing education? Do they get a certificate? Congratulations, you are now proficient in advanced snakery?
It's framed as part of a competition to win the hand of the human prince, Leo. Several observers compared it to The Bachelor.
The Bachelor, but with scales, and presumably fewer tearful rose ceremonies and more existential dread, or maybe just more hissing. Does Chris Harrison moderate the basilisk training sessions? Caspen, this is the final slither.
Caspen is the Basilisk King assigned as Tem's trainer. This forms the central relationship, alongside a noted love triangle with the prince, Leo. The setting is described as romantasy, monster romance or erotica, with a tone frequently labeled unhinged.
Unhinged. My favorite hinge setting. Right next to slightly ajar and off completely. So, this Temperance, this Tem. She seems to be ground zero for the unhinged commentary, doesn't she? People either wanted to build her a statue or push her down a well.
Opinions on the protagonist, Tem, are indeed sharply divided. Some commentary praised her arc as empowering, watching her go from a shy country gal to having these men on their knees for her.
On their knees, see? Empowerment. Or possibly just bad posture from dealing with her. Because the other side, who boy? What did they say?
Conversely, a significant number described her as insufferable, annoying, whiny, contradictory, childish, and hypocritical. One person stated, quite plainly, Tem was insufferable. I literally hated her the entire time.
Insufferable, whiny, and childish. She sounds less like a romantic heroine and more like a sentient complaint form that somehow gained control of a small nation. How can someone be both empowering and have the thought process of a 2-year-old, as someone apparently put it? Make it make sense.
The contradiction is noted. Her internal monologue and perceived lack of consistency were frequent points of criticism. It fueled debate on why the male leads, Caspen and Leo, were so intensely devoted.
Ah, the devotion. Was it true love? Or perhaps some kind of basilisk mind control? Or maybe they just couldn't understand what she was saying half the time due to the whining and agreed to everything. Yes, Tem. Whatever you say, just please use your indoor hiss.
The nature of Caspen's affection, in particular, drew comment. Has the Basilisk King, centuries old? Some found his rapid, intense devotion compelling. He falls first, they noted. Others labeled him manipulative, vague, even creepy, due to the age gap.
Creepy and vague. The worst combination. Like getting a fortune cookie that just says maybe. Is he a devoted ancient lover or just a snake who's really bad at explaining things? Protecting her was his most basic instinct, someone quoted. Basic instinct. Or just territorial, like a cat with a particularly comfy box.
And then there's Leo, the human prince, initially perceived as an arrogant ass with Draco Malfoy vibes.
Draco Malfoy, with gold teeth, apparently. Did he sneer about his father a lot? Did he complain about the quality of the dungeon catering? Some people seemed to like that vibe, though. Found him the only likable character. Poor Leo. Stuck in a competition that sounds like a fever dream cooked up by a hormonal serpent.
He apparently reveals more depth later, a sympathetic backstory involving daddy issues. This led to a strong Team Leo contingent, some feeling his ending was unfair, wishing he'd find happiness, perhaps with a side character named Evelyn.
Daddy issues. The great equalizer. Suddenly Draco Malfoy is just a misunderstood boy who needs a hug, and maybe therapy. But forget Evelyn. Some readers had grander plans. They wanted Leo and Caspen to become boyfriends. MF. Can you imagine? The human prince and the ancient Basilisk king, bonding over their shared frustration with Tem. She's just so insufferable today, wouldn't you agree, darling? Indeed, my petulant prince, indeed.
An unconventional resolution. Not explicitly supported by the text, according to the feedback, though the desire for it was noted. Much like the desire for less repetition in other areas.
Ah yes, the other area. The main event. The reason for being for many, it seems. The spice, which apparently wasn't just sprinkled, it was delivered via fire hose.
The explicit content is universally described as extremely frequent and intense. Spice basically every other chapter, one noted. 90% smut, 10% plot, claimed another.
90%. That's not a plot with spice. That's a spice rack with occasional plot-shaped dust bunnies. Did anything else even happen? Did they pause for snacks? Or was it just, as one reader eloquently put it, damn you all fucking again?
While some found it excessive or repetitive, it got to the point where I was like, it's enough slices. Many praised the nature of the spice. Words like unhinged, feral, wild, filth, and depraved were used approvingly.
Depraved, filth, feral. Sounds less like romance and more like a nature documentary gone horribly wrong. And we have to talk about the claw.
Yes, the claw is mentioned repeatedly, described as a magical sex toy, sometimes linked, rather vividly, to bodily fluids. Supernatural mind-controlled vibrator made out of jizz, one reviewer offered.
A jez cialalo, a sitayat cum cialadalo. What in the unholy name of HR Giger is that? Did it have its own personality? Did it demand union wages? The claw had me gagged, someone shrieked, gagged with horror, delight, existential confusion. We need details. This segment of questionable biological implements is brought to you by probably sentient household goods. Check under your sofa. You never know.
Reactions were intense, as they were for another frequently discussed event, the ritual.
Oh God, the ritual. Don't remind me. My eyebrows are still trying to crawl off my face, just thinking about what people wrote. What did they say? Brace us.
Reviewers described it as a shocking, public basilisk ritual involving Tem, Caspen, and other parties, including family members, in ways described as disturbing or taboo. It was lengthy-o-sexual, and perceived by some as coercive or questioning consent.
Coercive public. With family. This sounds less like a sacred ritual and more like the worst possible episode of family food imaginable. Survey says, trauma, people said it floored them, traumatized them, made their head explode straight off my body. Was it a ritual or a psychological warfare experiment disguised as foreplay?
It certainly provoked extreme reactions. Alongside other moments flagged as graphic or disturbing, there were mentions of a character's pelvis breaking during intercourse.
Stop, pelvis breaking. During the act, and apparently, according to one horrified reader, they kept going. That's not unhinged spice, that's a medical emergency. Did anyone call an ambulance? Or did they just awkwardly adjust? Sorry, love. Bit of a structural issue there, just wiggle past it. I feel faint.
There was also mention of graphic genital mutilation, a character's cock being ripped off.
Ripped off? Good grief. This book sounds less like romantasy and more like a cautionary tale written by a particularly vengeful surgeon. Are we sure this wasn't miscategorized? Should it be in the things that make you want to join a convent section, as one reader apparently did?
That was indeed one stated reaction, alongside someone needing to cleanse their soul and another planning to touch grass. The intensity seems undeniable, even if the quality was debated.
Debated. The opinions on the writing itself were all over the place. Like spaghetti thrown at a wall. Some called it beautifully written, wickedly clever banter, easy to follow. Others, terrible writing style, dialogue was so bad, needs editing, low quality. It's like they read two different books.
The contradictions are stark, Plot heavy, yes, and very spicy versus plot was non-existent until about the 75% mark. Empowering FMC versus FMC was awful. It does raise questions.
It raises questions like, were these people reading the same language? Or was the Jizz Claw whispering different stories into different ears? And the ending, don't forget the ending. Apparently, it caused near riots.
The ending was another major point of division. Some found it shocking or satisfying. Many others described it as rushed, abrupt, disappointing, convenient, or leaving too many loose ends. Made me want to throw my Kindle at the wall, one admitted.
Throwing Kindles? Oh, the humanity. But also, relatable. So, after all this chaos, the hissing, the insufferable heroine, the manipulative snake man, the daddy issues prince, the sentient Jizz Claw, the family reunion from hell, the shattered pelvis, the convent applications, the terrible and beautiful writing, and the ending that caused property damage. What's the verdict?
The evidence suggests extreme polarization. A book described as both addictive and terrible, empowering and insufferable. Praised for unique concepts and unhinged spice. Criticized for plot balance and character consistency. It seems to be an experience.
An experience. Like surviving a minor earthquake while trapped in a petting zoo after dark. Okay, my official Heartbook radio rating for Split or Swallow, aka Kiss of the Basilisk. I give it 2 sentient Jizz Claws out of a possible 5 hissing readers, plus a bonus point for making someone compare a woman's beauty to, cum. But minus 2 points for the sheer existential whiplash.
A complex metric. So, listeners, the commentary shows this book is divisive. A wild ride, a beautiful disaster, maybe surprisingly deep, maybe just deeply weird. Team Caspen. Team Leo. Team Run Screaming.
Okay, listeners, here's the real question sparked by all this madness, that whole Basilisk sexual training competition thing. Empowering exploration or just the Bachelor designed by HR? Giger, let us know. Some might think it's just efficient matchmaking.
It's certainly a premise. Ultimately, you may need to read Split or Swallow, Kiss of the Basilisk yourself to determine which side of the unhinged commentary you fall on. Link in the description if you feel brave, or perhaps foolish.
Next week, we're reviewing the instruction manual for a Swedish flat pack wardrobe, the angst, the confusing diagrams, the inevitable leftover screws. It'll be gripping.
Right until then, for Heartbook Radio.
Keep it weird, folks.